thank you for inviting me. I think it's really great to be here and talk to you because exactly as you said, I mean, traditionally we talk about technology and engineering, but Volvo in the future will be much more involved into the business. And we need really to attract also people who helps us how to price these cars, how to bring this service to the markets. I think it's an excellent opportunity to make some PR for our company, to create some interest. So sorry for that. So I'm Håkan Samuelsson, you might have heard. Really interesting journey, and you see that the room is full. So something what we are doing has come out, and I'm very grateful for that. And look at this chart. I think this is rather a good illustration. Is it 8 years? Looks like a lot. I have to read here better. So I mean, 2010, not that long ago, we were 19,000 people in the company. Now we're 43. I mean, now you're almost afraid, wow, can we really, have we grown that fast? You get almost nervous. But unfortunately, we were not that few in 2010. That was just fake. Because we had thousands of consultants, because Detroit had, of course, you cannot increase headcount. And that's also an example of management. If you steer on a result, you get it. But you got also 10,000 consultants, which was a sort of, and there were people who have been years working as consultants. So the real growth is not that high. So, but it's still much bigger. 350,000 cars. What did we do? 640 was last year. This year we will be more. We are growing with almost 10%. So will be something like close to 700,000. We had 90 billion, of course, revenue, 250,000. So we have gone from number 7 or something in the top 10 league in Sweden to the second largest company in revenue. So quite a journey. And you see something more, profitability has also improved. Yeah, because it's a -5 there, it's not 5. -5 to 14, so quite a decent improvement. And maybe also very much important, we were sort of a company from Gothenburg exporting cars, selling cars, we have importers. Now I think we could say we are a true global company with really home markets. I will come back to that. We have factories, we have R&D in 3 home markets, Asia Pacific, Americas, and Europe. So, and the car look much better. You can see this looks more than 8 years. It's a big difference. We have gone from sort of cost-focused, Ford-based, gray plastic car into something that's real premium. And that you cannot underestimate. That's really the key to why are we so successful. And it's back to products. People say products are not important, this brand, yeah, but at the end, it should also be good products. And for the first time, we have all cars new, because we have a modular system, so we could do that. You could not do it otherwise. And you see the oldest car there is from 2015. That has never happened before. Probably had the oldest car were maybe 10 years almost. And they were all developed on different platforms. Now they are all developed on one platform. They are all new. And you can see if you look closely, they all have a lid there on the left side, and they are all recharged. They can all be charged. They are hybrids, but they run around 50 kilometers electric. So the daily commute you can do electric. And that's also part of the modular system. We can have that on all cars, not just one model. And there will be more. car line mix. This was what I started with. Now you wonder what it was. But it's also saying customers prefer to ride in rather big, safe, high-positioned SUVs, and they are very profitable. When we make them electric, they will also be a bit more sustainable. But they are really what the free market prefers, and we sell on the free market. And we have really been lucky to have the right cars on the market. And you can see we have gone from rather small share of SUVs to now the 62%, I think it was last month. And it will be even more because we are rolling out the XC40, the smallest one. And that is, of course, 62% of the volume, and it's much more of the profit. So it's really attractive car and also profitable cars. And then, as I said, we are a real global company right now, from having a factory in Gothenburg that we ran, built around 200,000 cars, and everybody says it's impossible to build more cars, it's fully. And the factory in Ghent. We now have, I have to look here because I always forget, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 assembly plants and 2 engine plants. And that is done then also in 8 years. And of course, we would never have been able to be so bold to build 3 factories in China if we didn't have a very brave owner who encouraged us to that. Because that's something we have learned from the Chinese. We are a bit so ängsliga. And can we really manage that? And this could really go to hell if we are not careful. But I really learned in 2 steps, coming from Scania, going to MAN, a bit more bolder, and then to the Chinese, even more. So now you have to hold yourself back a bit, so you're not. But we built those factories, has been absolutely successful. So we build more cars in China than we sell in China. And the next target is we will build also in US the same number of cars that we sell in the US. But it will not be the same one. To go into really a theme you can read about every day, trade restrictions and Trump and so on. Trump wants to have more employment in the US. He wants to reduce the trade deficit. I think a lot of Americans really wants to do that, not only him. So let's see what we can do. So instead of just importing 100,000 cars and selling them in the US, we will in 2 years' time more or less build 150,000 cars in the US and sell 150. We will build XC90 and the S60 in the US, and then we will export more or less half. So we will have a absolutely balanced trade deficit. I mean, we will export as much as we import, and we will employ more or less 5,000 people. And so I think really we need no tariffs. I think we're doing the right thing in a global system. Let's see if he thinks that. I cannot guarantee that. But we're working in convincing about this story. So production in Asia Pacific, US and Europe. And Torslanda, by the way, is now producing 300,000 cars. So 100,000 more than was possible 8 years ago. So that's also good. And we employed a lot of people, a third shift, to do that. And then we have a development in, of course, Gothenburg is the most people, but we also have around 1,000 people in Shanghai, sedan cars production. And we have around close to 200 people in Sunnyvale in digital development in Silicon Valley. So we are truly global, a big difference. And then, so I mean, that is really happened with the Chinese ownership. They encouraged us to be a really global company. What another thing that's very important that we have gotten is finally we have a low-cost platform for smaller cars. We made smaller cars with Mitsubishi, not that successful. We made smaller cars based on Ford platform, but now we started and Li Shufu, we said, can't you do your small cars on our platform? And okay, we took some here and we tested them on Elred, and I had to call him and say, I don't think that will be possible. We need to have a better quality. So we then decided, but we can develop that for us if you pay. So we set up a company in Lindholmen to develop a new platform. It's about 1,500 people. And most of them come from Saab. So we really recycled the know-how from Trollhättan into building our 40 series platform. And it's a big success. XC40 is now our second best-selling car. It's based on that new platform that developed in Gothenburg by Volvo and Saab people, basically, and there are some Chinese there also. And we use it, but they use it also for the new brand Lynk & Co, and they will use it in Geely cars as well. So a big success, and finally we have a good small car, and that was also a impact from the Geely acquisition. The most important thing that they have done, though, is more related to business and governance, and we have changed our company from being a sort of management division, which was a division within a Volvo group, and then it was not better being a division within a Ford group controlled from Detroit. So it was not a really standalone company. So the restart with Geely was, let's make this into a real company. So let's have governance as if we were a listed company, and let's have a total renovation of board and management, and put in international competence and so on. And I think that was a very simple thing to afterwards to understand. And of course you cannot help reflecting on why wasn't this done 30 years ago. We would then be bigger than BMW today, for sure, because we were bigger 30 years ago than them. So we should have, of course, have made a real standalone governance and put in the right people, I think but okay, better late than never. So we did that. So that's what is really behind the success: products, governance as a listed company, a global company, and a good small platform. That's where we are right now. And now we more or less have to leave then this phase. Before, earlier was we have to be premium, very lot of envy. We looked at Audi, we looked at BMW, we need to catch up. Right now the next step is really not more about copying or benchmarking. Now we have to have courage enough to explore new ways and really utilizing, as you said, new technology. This will change the car, but it will change also the way we do business. So first of all, 2025, when I come back here in 5 years' time and then tell you about Volvo 2025, we will say we have now 5 million customers, relationships, real customer relations with 5 million people who are buying our services through subscription, through different type of products. Because we will not then talk so much only about how many cars have we built, how many cars have we sold. We will say how many customers do we have on board who has a relationship with us. That will be more. But if you want to know how many cars we will build that year, we will grow more or less as we have done. So we should be over 1 million at that date. So it's an even bigger company. And then we come to this 50, 30, 40, sounds like Stefan Löfven. 50% fully electric cars. So we will, I told you about this platform. We did a change in our architecture. We will bring in electrification into it. So half of our cars, 2025, will be battery electric cars, range around 50 Swedish miles, 400, 500 kilometers, depending on weather and heating. So real electric cars, and the other half will be hybrid cars. So there will be no cars that are just powered with a combustion engine, and there will be no diesel engines in the car. So it will be a hybrid based on petrol or gasoline, and then 30% of them will have autonomous drive. It's very popular, but we changed the wording here before, because autonomous drive, what is this? 30% of our cars will not be as advanced. So you just walk in and say, hello Google, take me to Vasagatan 1 because I have a meeting there. Probably not work, at least not when it's snowing. So it will be a more pragmatic solution. It will be when you're out on the big highway, there will be clear markings on the street. You will pop up a message, autonomous drive possible, and then just click. So it will be like a very advanced cruise control. And then you can sit back and relax because the system takes care of you. And then there will be a signal when something happens, and it will be more and more annoying because you would need then to maybe within 2 minutes take over. And if you haven't done that, then the car will stop safely. So it will be absolutely unsupervised under certain conditions. And that will, of course, make Volvos even more attractive. Especially you can do business meeting while you are on the road, and will be the perfect company car, even more perfect than today. And then the last one was something we added some weeks ago in Los Angeles, because we wanted to have a real sustainability program for the company. And we definitely don't want to have that as some kind of four-color brochure in addition with the sustainability officer reporting directly to me. No, this should be done exactly as we have been working with safety. Then everybody understands. It's not the add-on. It's not something we do to get PR. It is something we do because it is profitable. And nobody, not even from the finance community in Volvo, comes and say, can you really afford all of these 17 airbags and all of these advanced seatbelts and all of these crash beams? They cost a fortune. Yeah, they might cost a fortune, but they give even higher revenues. And that's, of course, exactly the answer also to sustainability and electrification. So don't come and complain. Some people do that, I can admit that. It's too expensive with these electric cars. Will that really be profitable? Yes, it will, because it's part of our purpose. And you have no idea what the value of a diesel car is 2025. I just guess it will be rather low priced. And you have no idea about the malus taxes that will be put on combustion engines. So I just have the conviction that it will be more profitable to have electric cars. And that's what customers will have. So it will be part of our purpose. It's part of our affärsidé. And exactly as safety. And it will be not added on. Then you talked about, this is a really important, we come really from traditionally, we built cars and sold them more or less as a huge investments. People will walk around and they will test, kick tires, and they will benchmark with others and test drive, because it's a huge thing to buy a car for maybe $1 million. You have to go to the bank and put on the tie and ask for a loan and so on. But At least I don't think you need any more in banks. But when I bought my first house, I remember I had to wear a tie to get the loan for. Today maybe not more. So anyhow, but if you instead thought of it's not a capital investment, it's a service, then of course the hurdle is much lower. If you sign up for a subscription having exactly the same product, and the rules are only that you can notice, close this or cancel it with a 3 months notice, then the hurdle is 15,000 maybe. And I would guess you don't even need to test drive then. You just try it. If you don't like it, hand it back. We should really, that changes of course totally the concept and the product, and that's why we like to compare with Netflix, stream a car like music, and you could then really understand the difference between a subscription and a lease, because in a lease, if Netflix was a lease, they would ask you like this: okay, how many hours a day do you want to watch? 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, different prices. And then even worse, would you like to sign up for 36 months of Netflix? You wouldn't do that. That's leasing. Subscription is flat rate, absolutely national prices. You don't have to shop around because the same everywhere, because we sell this. It's totally legal then to have the same price in the whole country. You cannot have it if it's retailing. And then you just sign up 5,500 a month, everything is included. And another beauty is if you're younger and live in a city, normally you have to pay a fortune in insurance, but this is flat rate, absolutely transparent. And you never have to risk that you bought a car and you're very proud, and then you go to a cocktail party and listen to your neighbor bought the same car even cheaper, and it destroyed the whole party for you. That will never happen with Care by Volvo, because it's one price, transparent, hassle-free, totally open. So we think this is a very interesting product for the future, and then you sell car like a service. Flat and much more smooth over the business cycle, and it's really what customers want to have. This will not happen overnight. People will still like to invest, so this will be a sort of phase out and phase in, exactly as petrols and diesel will phased out, electric will go on. But the company who can be fastest in this transition will be a winner. Then there are still problem with the car, because if you live here in Vasagatan, Robin, you experienced that. You drove me here in the car, and then you would, where do I park this car? It's not that easy. So I mean, if you live in downtown Gothenburg, downtown Stockholm, I think we have to admit maybe then owning a car traditionally is not the ideal way of bringing mobility to people. We cannot be that much businessmen, so we just want to sell cars, as many as possible. In downtown areas, probably better to sell my car, but only 2 days, or sometimes my car sometimes. Exactly the same concept, but you don't have to sign up for flat rate per month. You sign up just for 2 days or a weekend. And then you just go out, look in the app, that's M, and then you find the closest car and you go there, lock it up with a telephone and drive away. So it will be exactly as having your own car. The only difference is that it will have different colors every time. But if you don't notice that, it will be the same experience. Because inside the car, it will be personalized immediately with digital technology. It's my phone maybe. But
det är inte jag. It's you.
But I cannot take it right now.
Alla tror det är jag.
The mailbox says. So So now I lost my thread. No, M, and the car will be personalized with digital technology, so the seating, playlist, telephones paired, exactly. So it will be a very personal experience, and the trick is, of course, to have that profitable. It is only one thing that will be critical, and that's the utilization of the cars. Because if they are parked and only really paid time 25%, 30%, which where we are today is more or less break even. But if you would be over 50, then this would be a really good product. And then you really need modern technology to calculate where should the cars be on Friday afternoon, where should they be on Monday morning, and so on, different locations. And then we also need to have for midsummer then a solution. How can you then bring in more cars? Because you cannot have a park which can handle midsummer and then they are empty. So then you have to borrow in cars, and that's where we're going to use our retailers. We have some really smart concept with them, how to really make it super easy to access and find, but also really correctly located. And we believe these two concepts are really interesting, bringing what we call the freedom to move to people, sometimes or all the times. And if you want to buy it to have your own absolute car to polish, you can do that as well. Another thing coming in is electric cars. And we also want to give that a certain attractiveness. It's not just the same car with another motor. It should be our car line which you can charge. And that will be called from week 20 next year. There is a new model year. We work with this model year. It's good. Have discipline, then you should be ready. Then all charge car, all who have this lid, will be the new recharge. They will be labeled recharge car line, recharge family, and there will be one for all models. And they will have certain advantages. They will be available with more or less immediate delivery, because we will have factory stock for those cars in very attractive colors. They will also be sold with electricity included in the price. And this is really to encourage people to charge their car. Otherwise, you could be accused this is fake. You sell a plug-in hybrid, but people just run it on gasoline. No, that's not true. We know that around today, 40% of the time is run on electricity. And now when we encourage people to charge even more, because we will pay what they charge, I'm quite sure we should be on 60% or something. That means that a recharge car with a plug-in system, 2 of them are better than 1 electric car. And if you want to do something about the climate, it's much easier to sell 2 plug-ins right now than selling 1 battery, because we are quite honestly not ready with the battery cars. So we have to sell this until we have real electric battery cars. And the first one is XC40, which we presented in Los Angeles some weeks ago. So that will be the really first electric Volvo. And then there will be no grille anymore, no black grille. Then it will be sort of white also in the front. So you will recognize them, because there is no need for air intake. Even though a lot of petrol heads which do electric cars, they can be revealed by, they still have grilles. Something is fishy with that. You can look at some, I will not mention any names, but look at some electric cars coming from German companies. All of them have grills. Maybe gasoline guys develop these cars. So recharge, very interesting concept. Another thing that has also brought jobs and development to Gothenburg is Zenuity. I talked about this SEFT company, which developed a small platform, the 1500. They are based in Lindholmen. That was more or less brought in by us. Another company is the software company Zenuity we created together with Veoneer or Autoliv. And they are going to develop the software for this marvelous autopilot I talked about, which can allow you to do something else in the car. And they are also based in Lindholmen. So this house was built by Skanska and it was more or less empty. So we said a bit of Chinese boldness. We say, let's move into that. And now we have more or less filled that building with 700 engineers. And they are on the way to develop this software, which we will have in our cars in 2 years from now. Maybe 2.5, if to be honest. Let's see. So that is something really interesting and a very attractive jobs. And of course, also a way for us to do this much faster. Because if we would do this in the apartment together with hardware engineers, it's not the same thing to develop software. So here we can do it faster and much more agile, more independent. I said we also talk about technology in business and in cars, but also leadership. Probably if you would rank here what is absolutely most important for the future, I would say leadership. Because if our success is we need really be the fastest transformer in the business. We don't want to end up as Olivetti or Facit or something. This is quite a challenge, bringing in new technology into an old company. And the ones who start from scratch have an advantage. But we need to do this faster, and then it boils down to a lot about people. Can you really get the clarity? Can you convince people about what we should do? Because people have a certain strange property that they do only what they want to do. I think we are all like that. So it is tell management doesn't work. You can do rather primitive things with tell management, but not the really complex important things. So we need a culture which we have described. I think 3 things are very important. Number 1 is you need to be curious. You cannot be laid back and think you know everything and we have done this before and tested it. We really need to be curious. How does this really work? What do you mean with this subscription? Isn't that the same thing as lease? What is it? What do Audi do and what does Tesla do? Do they really have retailers? I mean, thousands of questions. And I think if you're not curious about something is wrong, because then you cannot be better. And then also we have to realize it's very easy to know what should be done. We have a lot of those people. I mean, that's easy. We know it. It's like politics. I mean, it's rather easy to know what should be done. And we all say that when we have our dinner parties. But doing it is a bit more difficult. And if you want to have something done, you have to convince people they need to want to do it. And I think also as a leader and working in Volvo, you need to enjoy working with people. People who, there are some, we don't have any, not too many left. These one who want to sit in their own room because they think it's noisy and my people disturb me or something. That's really strange. There might be somebody sitting writing contracts, that's no problem. But other people should like being in discussions with others. They should love going to the coffee machine and talk about things because that's where you really solve the problems. Because in meetings we only talk about what's on the agenda. And that's what somebody wants to manipulate you to decide. It's not what's important. So if you really want to do the important thing, you have to talk about things that are not on the agenda. I mean, everything we have invented has been invented in airport lounges or in bars after meetings, and not everything, but a lot before you have taken too many drinks. So that is our culture, and then we believe also there's a lot of human resources. You have to develop people and send them on training, and you can do that, but you cannot. You reach also a limit that it might be better to say, this person is very good in that. Why don't we let her continue doing that instead of trying making her into something else, just to have a higher salary box or something? Can't we pay for? So build on strengths, I think, is something we more and more realize, and otherwise we just talk about weakness and say, how can we compensate this weakness? What can we do about it? How can we develop this? But we talk too little about people are excellent doing something, let them do even more of that same type of job. So build on strengths, and then also we are grouping safety, because it has always been, so we are one of the fortunate companies that has had a very strong purpose. And that's why I said that's exactly how we should work with this sustainability. And personal is, of course, the whole digital technology could make the car even more personal. And then I think that's an exciting product, and nothing wrong with that. You could even could be as sustainable as taking the train to Stockholm. So that's our new purpose, and then that's where we want to be. Let's see 2025 when I come back. Thank you for your time.
We won't let you go yet. It's time for questions, and Samuel Carlén, the head of business relations at the student union Kåren at Handelshögskolan, will moderate the questions from the audience.
Thank you.
The stage is yours.
You hear me? No? Does everyone hear me? Yeah, there. Great. Thank you for that. It was fantastic to hear about Volvo. Seems like you have a very bright future. Also, thank you for this fantastic collaboration with the university and HHGA. It's one of a kind, and hopefully more to come. So first of all, I'd like to kickstart with one of my own questions, actually, and that's connecting back to Joachim's question to Per, and that is, what is Volvo's biggest interest in the university here at Handels?
It is getting future absolutely passionate people who could work with developing and delivering our purpose. And it will in the future not just be related to the car and technology, self-driving cars and electrification. It will also be related how we bring this product, the freedom to move to end customer, because it will not be done in a conventional system with a factory, importer, dealer, stock, and it will be done, as I explained, like streaming music, and that will be done in that will develop in it. I think we will talk more and more about that, of two reasons. Very basic, very difficult to explain away. One is the customers want to do that. They want this more hassle-free, transparent way. Secondly, which is market forces, distribution of cars, you might not know it, but it's probably 2 to 3 times more expensive than product development. The market will not allow that. When technology can do it in a smarter way.
Good answer. Thank you.
And then we need business people, not just engineers. We need engineers as well. So that's why we need to develop our culture in the way I try to describe. I mean, it will not be layers, position descriptions, salaries related to the position instead of the people, and I mean, all type of authorities. That is not attractive. It is much more based on the individuals. We need to give the individual much more freedom so that they can deliver. Because delivering just what I or some other smart manager is saying is not enough. Because, I mean, if we knew everything, then we could do it ourselves. So you really, leaders need to describe some kind of vision and purpose, and then exactly how it should be done, and then you cannot limit people. So we need to strengthen our culture, and the best way of doing that is really when you hire people, you don't ask them if they know Excel and if they are, you should also check what their opinion is on culture, and if they are a strong supporter of a culture and building that culture, we should hire them, because we will get exactly the culture that new people bring in. So we have to check that all the time, and we have to, of course, realize this is not something we do because we want to be popular with the young guys. This we do because we want to be profitable in the long run, and then you need to do that. And it's a very big challenge, but it probably, as I said, the culture and leadership is probably the most decisive. And it's also give us a bit hope, because if you compare with big American companies or German, you can be a bit nervous, you are too small and so on. But if you believe the ability for us to motivate and engage people and really convince and clarity, that is a winning factor. Then suddenly, with the Scandinavian or Swedish culture, combined with the small agile companies, suddenly a strength, two big strengths. Sorry.
So next question there. Yeah.
I hear you at least.
Okay. You seem very sure about the optimistic outlook for Volvo towards 2025, and you seem very sure about how you would develop. However, I think it's fair to say that the global status quo and the global situation has become more and more unpredictable almost every year. So my question really is, how prepared do you believe Volvo is to tackle unexpected changes that might make it so that your goals for the future may not align?
The better people you on board is the best medicine. Of course, you have good people, you don't know the problem. That is a weakness with the risk management system. You want to make system out of everything, but the biggest risk are not on that chart. If you have the risk on a chart or in a system, it will not happen. It will not kill you. What kill you is you don't have. So you cannot plan this, you cannot solve this mechanically. So you need to have good people that cross the bridge when you reach it. So it's back again, the ability for us to just be self-confident and make the difference, because that is in the culture very important. It's not just do what you're told, it's you should make the difference. And if something happens, then you have to solve it. Maybe you should, of course, not be too self-confident, because then that is also not good. But we have an advantage of being small, because if the market drops with 30% and you have 20% market share, you will have a huge problem. If you have 1% market share and the market drops with 30%, you could handle it by taking some market share, and that will help us. But of course, I often say, I don't know the word really in English, we need more of självsäkerhet, self-confidence. But we need less of självgodhet. Fortunately, we have a bit wrong balance sometimes. Self-rightness, I think is the English word. So in a way, I shouldn't be too cocky. If you thought I was an illusion, I think you should be a bit also realistic. It is. But you need to have a vision of not sitting and doing risk systems. You should have more opportunity management than risk management.
We had one question there.
He has been waving a long
Yeah,
time.
he's been
with
waving.
the red handkerchief. I feel
He's
sorry
eager
for
to ask his question.
Hello? Yeah, now I hear myself also. Thank you. You talked about subscription and the distribution cost, which is very high compared to the product development cost and for production and so on. What will actually happen in the distribution chains, referring to the dealer networks, regarding the showrooms and workshops and everything on a global basis there? It's a big business, it's a big industry there in between.
Not that much, because all cars need to have somebody who is really delivering it to the end user. If it's a user or a customer, it's no different. Somebody have to physically deliver the car, explain it, take care of it when it needs service, and somebody who are ready to answer all the 100 questions you have when you get a new. How do you set that? How do I pair the phone? I mean, we need the retailers to do exactly what they do today, but I think they need less showrooms because we will have much more better virtual showrooms, which is really good for them. They could reduce the working capital demand and do this. There will be more delivery from factory stock and build to order, because the big really reason for high distribution cost is really that you have cars that are aging. The longer a car is in the showroom, and I mean every dealer knows that, and you go and look at the car, you get more and more nervous still there, and then you lower the price. So you should avoid ending up having a car that doesn't have a customer. That is costly. So the better, more attractive cars you have, and the more cars you have in the showroom, that really the customers need, the better profitability. And of course, if you have 3,000 dealers and everybody have stock in 3,000 showrooms, everybody guesses what colors and specs. That's probably not as good as having a consignation stock in the harbor where you have some really top sellers, very attractive specs. So the faster the turnover of the cars is, the better the profitability. And that's really what I think will be developed.
All right.
But I think really, to be very clear, maybe the retailers are often nervous. I mean, we will never be able to sell cars online and bypassing our retailers. I mean, it will not happen. And I mean, if some retailers are nervous about that, it's totally wrong. That is not possible.
So we have time for one or two more questions, and then you'll have be able to ask even more questions to Håkan, because he's joining our mingle after. But so, question up there.
Yes. Okay. Oh wow. Hello. My question is, how do you think that the attractiveness of Volvo cars as an employer is affected by the announcement of ICE?
If that is clarified and explained, it will be positive. And that is because if the combustion engine is going to be used in fewer and fewer cars, we are talking about a shrinking market. And if you have a shrinking market, then you don't need to think long to say, is that an area that will be prioritized in product development? It will probably not be that. So you will squeeze out what's left of it, and all development money will go to electrification, and you can use those cars. And that's not very attractive for people working in that area, because we will need to have combustion engine for our hybrids for as long as the eye can see. We really have no end point for that. We have said half of our cars probably will be hybrids. And to be able to really offer them a working environment where they can also work with the exciting development, developing the combustion engine with Miller cycles and all of that. We need to have money to put in development. And then by bringing this together with Geely, we will of course have a much higher volume. Today we build 600,000 engines in Skövde. I mean, together with Geely, we should be able to build within some years 3 million combustion engines. And of course, being part of that will be much, much more exciting than trying to safeguard this and just do it in-house. So it will be positive. But you have to explain it. Otherwise, you could believe this will be closed down and sold to China. No, it will not.
Thank you. So last question then.
Thank you. You have so far not mentioned anything about Polestar. So may I ask you, what's the purpose behind Polestar? Are they building the more sporty Volvos, or what's the basic idea?
Robin and I discussed, we had the chart of Polestar and they said, now let's take that out, it will be so complicated, I have to explain that, and then you come with the question. No, it is really, this is how we see it. If we would do electrification only and see it only as this is just a detail somewhere under the hood, either it's this type of engine or you have this, it will be not enough, because I don't think people buy a Tesla because it's electric. They buy it because it's electric, but also a very progressive, modern, new type of car. It's more than electrification, it's other concept. So we said, should we really dare just to have Volvo's electric? Wouldn't it be great to have a brand of our own also who could really lead the way for us into electrification? And then we had this company Polestar, and I said, wow, Polestar, that's really the leading star, isn't it? That's perfect. So we bought that company and say, let's make an electric car brand out of that. We can then, of course, also have the advantage of we are not necessarily have to follow exactly the Volvo brand image, which is a lot of safety, functionality, and say a family. This car is much more progressive. Everything latest will be tested in Polestar. They will be the first electric car. They will be the first car which have an Android operational system in the car, which is absolutely exciting. All other cars have their own operational system, and going a Polestar, Volvo will also have it. It's a totally new world. It's not hello Volvo, take me to, it's hello Google. And we have to admit that hello Google works better than hello Volvo. So that is a leading star. We can create more interest in electrification by having a brand that is absolutely electric and which is also free from all distribution concept we have today. It's a new brand, and we can show the retailers who are interested in that, because it will be sold only with direct sales. And then, of course, also we split the cost of electrification, which is also a very good answer. We would probably not have afford to do this by ourselves. So now we split it with Polestar, and Polestar is owned by external financer, 50%. So we got in money to be much faster in electrification. It's also a point. So there was some good reason.
Great. Thank you. And thank you all for coming. So now it's a bit time to wrap this whole thing up. But of course, it will continue with the mingle afterwards, where Håkan will be joining us. And I'm welcoming these two gentlemen to the stage.
Thank you very much, Håkan, for a fascinating journey through the realities of Volvo, and I'm very much looking forward to a continued cooperation between us.
I
at the
thought
school.
you're looking forward of buying your new car from but you've probably already done that. Right? Thanks
It
a lot.
might be so. This is just a small token of appreciation, which in a kind of a magic way will transform the corridors of the school into an art gallery. You'll see what's there.
Wow, sounds exciting.
Well, Volvo makes excellent car. I know I have one myself. But we have an alumnus, a member in the Alumni Association. His name is Håkan Guldkula, and he makes excellent champagne, so please enjoy. And
So I can
thank
have
you very
this
much.
when we have autonomous drive. Then
Yes, you can have. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.